Hey everyone, Chad Peterman here. In this episode, we are going to continue the conversation about our DFS program and how it's revolutionizing the way we serve our customers. If you missed the intro episode, I recommend you go back and give that a listen before continuing. For today's episode, I interviewed one of our field professionals, Carson, to hear how direct field support really changed how he views our calls. All right. Hey, welcome, guys. Big happenings here. Excited to share this content with you guys. One of the newer things that we've developed here at Peterman Brothers, which I am over the moon excited about because I think that it is a win-win-win for everybody, our customers, our field professionals, and the company as well. And so that program is what we call direct field support, or probably more commonly DFS. And who I've got here, I've got Carson with me today, who is just going to give us, he's been in DFS. He's also been out of DFS for probably a little while at this point now. And so really just want to get his perspective on, where it helped, what were his thoughts going in, how it's helped him, after he's been out of it, and then also kind of explaining what in the heck it is, because I think it's a huge and powerful tool that I think we're maybe like first or one of the first movers on creating something like this, which is really cool. So, Carson, welcome, my man.
Hello.
Yeah, absolutely. So Carson and I spent some time, I'm not sure when this will be sent out, but about a week ago together, kind of understanding what the process is and different stuff like that. So I guess to start out, Carson, give us a little bit of your background. How long you been here? What'd you do before this? I know you probably didn't do much before this because we saw a furnace that was older than Carson when we were out in the field. But yeah, give us a little bit of your background first.
Yeah, so been at Peterman Brothers roughly 3 years now. Before this, I probably like most young kids didn't really know what they wanted to do with their life. I was fortunate enough to get into Top Tech and just kind of learn as I go.
Yep.
And just take it one piece at a time to start as a maintenance technician to eventually working my way up to service. Grew up in Franklin, Indiana. Now live in Greenwood, but been here all my life, and here we are.
Awesome. Well, good stuff. Well, so Carson, you come out of Top Tech, and we've taught you a lot of the technical side of things. I think we've gotten better and better at teaching the whole communication with the customers and different things like that. What were some of the things as you went from Top Tech, training in the lab, riding along with people, you go out on your own? What did that look like? What did that feel like? Tell me a little bit about, maybe what you struggled with when you first got out there. What was that like for you?
Scary. Whenever you have day-to-day interactions with people that it's one thing, but having day-to-day interactions with people you've never met in your life is another thing. So definitely nerve-wracking and was scary. At the very beginning. Now, obviously, as you go, you learn more, you get more comfortable with talking to people. But, that was probably my initial response.
Yeah. And so I think one of the things that we learned and one of the main reasons why we created this DFS program is, we give you all of this information over, 10, 12 weeks, and then, all right, go get them. And I think what we learned is, you can simulate a lot of the technical piece. The hardest part to simulate is customer interaction because every single one is different. And so really DFS, the first creation was how do we partner this with onboarding? And so if you're a new technician or someone coming out of Top Tech, how do we, again, kind of ride shotgun with you, maybe not in your truck, but, using technology to be with you to do that. What do you, looking back on, what you experienced in DFS, how do you think if you had DFS coming right out of Top Tech, how would that have changed kind of what you felt out there, knowing what you know about DFS now?
It would have been a night and day difference, really. Now navigating how to talk to people as well as customer interactions. When it's something that's very new, you just kind of trust the people around you and find out what works and what doesn't work. But with DFS in my corner, and going through that entire process, it just makes everything so natural.
Yeah.
It makes it really easy.
Yeah, no, and that's great to hear, and that's kind of the goal of it. I guess let's dive into your DFS experience. Like, when were you in it? When did you kind of on board, off board? What did that look like, or how long ago was that?
I would say it was roughly a month and a half ago is when I first started. Went through our Peterman Way training, and then after my training, we onboarded onto DFS. Now, the time frame that I was in DFS was a little bit longer. I actually requested to have a little bit more time to work really closely with my coaches. So it was probably about 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks, that I was in the DFS program before I offboarded and moved on.
Yeah. Now, I know any time that you've got, I've heard this from many of people, I don't like ride along. Someone's sitting there, I'm nervous. 100% get that. I was riding with you and I was nervous. So I guess how does this compare to a ride along? Are you getting better? Is it easier than having someone ride in your truck? Is it more difficult? Like, tell me a little bit about that experience, since you've experienced a little bit of both.
With the DFS program, what I felt like is, since every customer is different, every situation is different, it was extremely helpful to go through kind of on a call-to-call basis of what was going on, to where something somebody said that I didn't know how to respond to, or situations that I just needed a little extra support on. To talk about those things and learn from them. So then the next time that I go through and see those things, or run into those circumstances, I have a clearer vision of what to look for. And to tell you the truth, it was probably easier than having somebody with you, because of the fact that the pressure is really off. There is not any pressure to, you have to do so well, and this is going to go directly to supervisor or management or this, that, and the other thing. It's really just for you personally to grow in what you're trying to do.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really powerful thing, and one of the things that I've heard most commonly that I think we've really nailed with DFS is, even if your manager's going with you or anything like that, like, yes, that is important to a certain extent. If you're really struggling, or you're, technically, I'm just running into all this stuff, like, yeah, having someone there by your side to, like, hey, am I doing this right? Does this look good? Whatever all this may be. But I think the important thing is that relationship that you have with DFS. They're not maybe someone that you feel like you're going to get in trouble with. Now, I hope no one's getting in trouble for doing it. Like, hey, it's just a learning opportunity. We went left and we should have went right. All right, well, let's learn from it and let's move forward. But as you said, and I think is so important, is that kind of forced accountability, where, like, every call, like, shit, I had to learn something from that call, because I had to, talk to somebody and say, how'd it go? Well, shoot, it went this way. And to me, that forced accountability, I always think about it like, I can go shoot as many baskets as I want in the driveway by myself. But if I had a coach there that was holding me accountable and being like, hey, you're not doing that right, or hey, make sure you jump, or make sure you tuck your elbow in, or whatever it is. Those are probably terrible advice for shooting a basketball. I was not very good at shooting a basketball. But you get the point. On that note, what did you think about DFS before you went in, and maybe what changed after you got out?
Going in, I was open-minded to the process. Now, open-minded and being nervous are kind of still, they can coexist with each other. Yep. To see what I was really getting into, what it would actually look like, and then also just working with some people that I've never worked with before. That can also be challenging. going through the process really allowed a lot of time to get to know on a personal level that we're all on the same page.
Yep.
We all want. We might have different goals, but what they want's what's best for me, and for me to succeed just as much as I want to succeed myself.
Yeah.
And having those things align really was helpful tremendously. And by the time that we were wrapped up and finishing up offboarding with DFS, it was kind of like, hey, like, this is really awesome. I really enjoyed this. Like, it kind of sucks to see it end. You're like, hey, we've came a long way, and we've built great relationships, and we've learned. And by the time it was all said and done, it was like, hey, like, now we just have to continue to grow, continue to learn.
Yeah. No, I think it's an important thing. Now, who was your coach?
Zach Smith. I started with Zach Smith, and then I ended up actually working with Zach Smith and Antonio Agresta.
Yeah. So I think that's an important piece too, is that, I think one of the other things that I've heard of people's kind of apprehension to getting in is like, well, I already know how to, I already know I've been a plumber for 10 years. I've been a tech for 10 years. And many of you may not know this, but Zach is not an HVAC technician. And Carson just told you how much he helped him. It's really not, they're not there to tell you how to be they're not there to tell you how to work on a furnace or diagnose an AC or anything like that. They're literally there just to help you through the customer communication. Because at the end of the day, you can be the greatest technician that ever walked the earth. Trust me. But if you can't communicate with the customer, they're never going to allow you to be what you are so great at. We have to be able to communicate. And I think that's the most important thing that I hope that DFS is helping out with and, doing a good job of is how do we as a company, as a department, as just a group of, individuals trying to do good out there in the world, how do we do more good? Well, the only way to do more good is to communicate with people better. It's the main reason why we're doing this. How do I get the message out of DFS is a good thing other than communicate it? So what are we doing? This will be on podcasts. This will be on video. All of those things, that's how we communicate. And I think it's sometimes we overlook the importance of communication and what we actually have to do in order to help people. We have to be able to communicate. We got to be able to build trust. We've got to give them the options that they need in order to make the right decision for their home. And so as we talk through, the Peterman way and what it's all about, I hear a lot about, well, it's awfully salesy. Well, it shouldn't be. What it should be is you building options for the customer to make the best choice for their house. It should literally be no sales at all. Carson made the greatest point to me as we were, we were on a system. I diagnosed it. It was a 22-year-old. It was older than Carson was, or maybe you had it by a year, I think, if I remember correctly. We diagnosed this. We go out. We build the options. Never once did he ever mention, "Oh, we're gonna sell a new system on this call." Never once. And I was just kind of watching and going through this, and he builds out the options and this, that, and the other. And as we're walking back into the house, it hits me, and he says, yep, we've got these options built out. We'll go in and present these. And, I just really wanted to detach myself from the outcome. And, this customer is going to do whatever they feel like is in their best interest. And that's what we want. Well, if he would have just went in and presented one option, does she have all the information that she needed to make an informed decision about what she can do with her current situation? No. And again, that is what DFS is there to help do. How do we get better at communicating with customers so that then we can do what they called us out there to do? If we don't communicate with them, if we don't build the trust, it is going to be very difficult to help customers. And I think that's the most important thing and my hope with DFS and what it's going to do and what it's going to transform. So, Carson, I appreciate your feedback, my man. You keep going out there and being a rock star. Watching you do what you did. I talked to Brandon, who helped us out on the call the other day, and watching that is why I come to work. To watch you be successful, us take unbelievable care of that customer, and you could just see it in her eyes as we were going through this. Is like she felt so empowered and so comfortable making a decision, and it wasn't an easy decision. She wasn't looking at like a $200 repair. She was looking at a very expensive fix to a house that she had moved in 2016, I think she said. So she'd been there 8 years. She kind of knew it was time, all of those things. So really appreciate your feedback. Appreciate you being a rock star out there, and keep up the great work.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.